Okay, so I'm gonna start off by talking about gear. So this is my third line gear. That's my rucksack and all the gear in there. So my second line gear is my fighting gear. It's my ammunition, my weapon, anything like that that I would keep on my body. And then my first line gear is anything else. It's my emergency stuff. So basically, you know, I got a sidearm, I got a multi-tool, I got a map, a couple other little things like that. So talking about third line gear, there's different ways you can do this, divide things up into certain little pouches. I mean, there's all kinds of cool, ways to organize this stuff. What I start off with, hope the ants don't get me. They were all over the place earlier. So this ruck is not as big as it was because my second line gear is no longer inside of it, and my shelter's set up. So the hammock is not real big. I did put another hammock in here that I'm going to demonstrate. I have a better hammock that I'm going to use tonight because the other night was really bad. So let me start with right here. This is basically my navigation and communications kit. So I basically have a couple little snaps. I put my ruck down. It's right there on top where I can get to it. I just pop these. Now there is another pocket underneath here, which is where I keep some of my just quick access stuff. Okay, I think these things are great. Okay, they're just coffee filters, but I mean, you can use them as a plate, you can use them as a napkin, you can use them as toilet paper. When I was getting water down at the bayou, there were some like leaves and stuff like that getting in it. You can use it to filter stuff like that. So it's got a lot of uses, and it's just something nice to have, and I always keep them, ready access at the top like that. Of course, a light is nice to have. As soon as it starts getting dark, you don't want to start looking for a light. You want to know where it is. Okay, and then I have like a small first aid kit that's easy to get to. Sometimes I'll have some other stuff in there. A lot of times I'll keep my mosquito net in there. So I stop my mosquito net for my head. That's a good spot for it. Okay, so here we are again. We're still talking about the communications kit, all right? Okay, so this is a good idea to have. It's just an atlas. This one's actually for the Southwest, so it's not really good for me, but there's a lot of good stuff on here that you're going to find, and it's made on a pretty heavy duty kind of a plastic type of material, maybe a PVC or something like that. Now this is part of my map kit. This is something that I made ahead of time, and I'm going to show another video that I'm going to link to that you'll see in a minute, and a lot of my stuff. So this map was actually one of the maps that would be one of my emergency survival charts, and all I did was I zoomed in on that particular area. If you're driving by vehicle, you can put them in a folder or a binder, so that way you could page through it and this is my primary route, this is my secondary route, this is my tertiary route. So you could plan if there's a bridge closed or something like that. So there's different ways to do that, but if you want to get all your maps ahead of time, okay, and Google Earth is a great place for that. If you buy my maps, I'm going to give out map files to go along with it. And of course, things like atlases are good. You're not going to carry a big, atlas that, you're not going to carry a big road atlas because it's just going to fall apart. But some of these other little smaller ones are a good idea. Okay, in here I have some writing stuff. I like to use purple if I need to do any kind of updates to the map. So typically maps are updated in purple, and I could update the maps if I needed to with towers or telephone lines and stuff like that. A lot of things have changed in Louisiana. They keep getting hit by storms every year, and the topography really does change. Okay, I have these little boot bands because I use them for all kinds of antennas and things like that. I have rechargeable batteries. These guys will go in my EOTech. That's one of the reasons I love this this old school EOTech, is that this will pop right off, and it's just a nice little, just regular AA's. So I got rechargeables, so I'll never run out of that. Okay, another spare battery, the radio, and things like this. Obviously I'd waterproof this. This one's damaged anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I just have it in here for just so I don't forget to talk about it. Okay, keep all your information on a hard drive like this. You might consider a Faraday bag to put it in, but definitely all your IDs and important information, you know what you need. Now, I'm going to talk about compasses very quickly. So this is an older compass, older Silver Ranger. This is what we used in the Navy. I love it. It's great because it actually it is a 1 to 250,000, 1 to 25,000 scale on here, which will go with the 1 to 250,000 maps. So my emergency survival chart. Okay, so this is something I would wear around my neck, part of my first line gear. Now, I do want to mention these guys because they're made in Wyoming, and you know, I would love an American-made compass company, but Silva is Swedish, and they make a great product. If I could get Brunton to do something similar and use that same scale, and you know, it does have a thermometer, which is kind of cool. Looks like we're close to 70. So I think I would really love to see these guys come out with a compass that meets my needs. Okay, the last little thing in my map kit, magnifiers. Okay, these are great for, especially for the emergency survival chart, because some of that print gets pretty small. Now, I'm going to go over more detail about my actual map kit, so see the other video. Now I'm going to go back into my communication. So here I got another smoke in case I need a signal for something. I'll demonstrate one of these later tonight. It's basically it's called a buzzsaw. It's a really good way to signal aircraft. I have my own little standalone little solar panel that I could use for my radio batteries. I have another bigger solar panel over there that I'll show you in another video, but I like to have this available. And then of course I have a lot of zip ties in here because you can always use those for communication stuff. I have another ear set in here, and then this other wire I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate in the communications module. Okay, so I'll show you how to link up a whip antenna and get it up in a tree real high so you can get a little bit better range on your ham radios. Okay, again, another little tactical Ride and Rain book, and then just some more wiring and chargers and things like that. So at least I know where to go for all that kind of stuff, and easily accessible at the very top of the bag. Okay, now we'll go into the main compartments. Could go in the top here, but I'm just going to open this zippers. Okay, I got some more food. I have my little car kit that I put in there when I took it off. And I have a nice hammock that I'm going to use. It's a little bit bigger. So originally I brought in the other hammock because I wanted to save space, but after getting chewed up by the chiggers, I think I'm going to try something a little bit better. Obviously my civilian clothes would be in here as well, but I did not do that. Or I did not switch that stuff over. So we start to talk about food, okay, and I'm going to talk about the Mountain House meals. I'll talk about that. I talked about the MREs already. I'll discuss those a little bit more. This is something I've had for a few years. They're not as easy to find as they used to be, and they're probably a lot more money, but I have one that's already open. I'll show you. Basically, I believe this was invented by NASA, I believe. So you got a little plastic bag there, and then you just have these little, you can see that, they're just like little wafers or something you want to call them, like a big pill. And they're actually not bad. They don't taste delicious, but you know, considering how much food it is, this is basically a 30-day supply of food. So, well, the two of them. So this is about 15 days. So yeah, 30 days supply. That's why I call this a 30-day pack. Technically, with just this food, yeah, you'd be really hungry. So obviously, you know, I would be eating blackberries. I'd probably be fishing. I'd probably set up some traps and catch some animals. So there's other ways to supplement your diet, but having something like this is going to be, you know, fantastic. Okay, obviously just a nice little rain poncho, standard gear. Gonna keep you camouflage. Put that over your pack as well. This pack does actually have a little rain cover. So that's kind of cool. I could wrap that over the bag too if I needed to camouflage it. Then I have my mess kit, which is, the zipper just broke on it, but I have some fire starter, extra fire starter, some extra utensils. I'll go over this more later, but that's basically where some of the rest of my food's coming. And having a steel canteen, a steel water bottle, I can boil this water and I can drink it. So it smells pretty shitty, so I don't want to do that. So okay, so that's pretty much. Then I have some warmies, you know, just you know, extra socks, especially, you know, it's coming out into a wet area like this. So I got several pairs of good, you know, wool socks, and I have them waterproofed. Actually, some, you know, some long underwear to sleep in, some you know, silk and things like that, silk and wool. So I'm calling this third line gear, right? So you could look at your you know, your vehicle as maybe being like a fourth line of gear, right? So you could have stuff in your vehicle that you might not carry, you wouldn't carry around in a backpack, but, you know, maybe like the solar panels or some extra batteries and things like that. Okay, again in here, you know, I'd also have like some of the other kits that I showed you, engineering kit, medical kit, you know, comms kit, nav kit, you know, extra food. In some cases, you know, if you didn't have water, you'd be carrying your water if you're in the desert or something like that. So you got to just figure out what you can fit, and you know, and you got to prioritize.